is a final report of the homework for our eye tracking homework assignment we were given earlier this year. The overview of the project was to study the effects of individuals' distractions on specific tasks which were given to a participant. The participants were given a series of tasks, simulated driving, taking various types of learning puzzles like a crossword or a visual mathematical quiz, and they were given these tasks with and without some sort of a major interruption, which is meant to simulate a text message or some sort of a notification from a screen which is around the individual. By tracking the movement of their eyes, we were able to cognitively assess how their cognitive performance in the tasks was impacted by some sort of an external notification. So we did this using software called Tobii Studio, which is an eye tracking apparatus attached to a standard computer monitor where the individual or the user can interact with the screen normally while their motion of their eyes on the screen is able to be tracked. This is done by first calibrating the individual's motion, and then a series of slides was given to the individuals which represent sort of different experiments or experimental procedures with and without interruption. In this case, we were able to look at where their eyes moved during the series of tasks, and we could determine that if their eyes moved towards the notification or away from the main window for longer than 2 seconds, that was an indication that to us that they were actually fully distracted. So here's an example of what they were looking at. This is a crossword puzzle meant to be a learning puzzle, where on the left the user was given a crossword puzzle and asked to solve a particular question. In this case, it was 11 across. And while they were thinking about the answer to 11 across, we switched to the slide on the right, which then has a notification in the top right corner, sort of representing what a notification would look like in either on a computer or on some sort of a phone or some sort of a screen device. And we could understand and see very quickly how long the individual spent looking at this text box and how important it was, how much of a deviation they had from their actual task. What we could determine is that in tasks such as simulated driving and taking a Kahoot quiz, the deviation was significant enough to be considered a distraction, whereas in crossword tasks and the math tasks, it was not. We measured, in this case, a distraction was considered something looking away for more than 2 seconds. We also have the opportunity to look at what's called a gaze plot. So here you can see the temporal ordering of where people looked on the screen, with the size of the bubble being the amount of time they spent there. This allows us to sort of go back and diagnose where individuals were looking before and after a disruption to see what other things may be impactful in this study. So all in all, we were able to use eye tracking. In conclusion, we were able to use eye tracking to understand how users and participants interacted with different visual mediums, and we were able to see the impact of some sort of a cognitive distraction on the performance at the task at hand. We found that in certain tasks there were significant levels of disruption caused by the addition of a distraction, but in this case more trials would be needed to understand systematically what specific behavior causes the distraction and in what contexts it occurs.